your day, your life is going to get better once your perception gets better. Your day, your life is going to get better once your perception gets better. Now, life is really, really good. Okay. It is so good. And the reason I say life is good is because any part of your life that you may feel you do not like, you can always receive better in life. Okay. You do not have to have it all figured out. Many of you guys hear me say this time and time again. But there are some things in life where as though you have to be very mindful of the things that you tend to do. Very, very mindful. Or the people that you allow into your environment. Now, I remember when I was a kid, I will always hear, like, when you were a kid, you would hear, you would make fun of your friends would make fun of you. And we didn't really think too much of it, right? But when you start being around people every day and they are saying stuff to you every day. So when I was a kid, I remember they would call me, they would say that I looked like Dino the dog, right? From I think it was from the Flintstones or something. And I remember as a child, from me hearing this over and over and over again, and then the little kids would be saying it, I started believing that I actually look like that. Okay. I don't care who you around that is making fun of you. If you keep being around and stuff and keep thinking that, and sometimes you may laugh it off and think like, oh, it doesn't mean anything. Let me tell you something. And I say this in each and every video. The subconscious mind does not know fantasy from reality. Okay? That's why when you was a child and perhaps your mother would say, you so ugly. I don't know who mother says stuff like that to them. But if you had a parent that would say stuff like that and would be like, they would act like they joking, right? And they would be like, you so ugly, and laugh at it. You hear it long enough, you will start eventually believing it. So you have to be very mindful of who you be around and those jokes. Cause some people, they say things and they say, oh well, it's in the name of jokes. I don't play like that. In fact, I don't have nobody in my presence. Any of my friends, we don't play like that. Okay. So you have to be very mindful of what you be around. And people oftentimes they give you exactly what was given to them. And they say things like, but I just was joking. That's not a good joke. That is not a good joke. So just be mindful of what you constantly hanging around. Now, another thing is this. Okay, relationships. Now, I wanted to really do a topic on relationships because sometimes you may not understand why you are attracting certain types of people. And the reason you are attracting people is because of the person you see yourself as. And earlier, I was listening to Shay Love Diva, and I've been talking about Shay Love Diva for the past few days. And one of the things she talks about feminine energy and masculine energy. And she goes on and say, especially, women that want to date masculine, high masculine men, right? We have been conditioned and programmed to believe that because you have children, you're not going to be able to date someone that is masculine because whatever it is, because you've been conditioned you're not pretty enough, because you've been conditioned that whatever you all this stuff that people tend to say. Okay, that's not how you are attracting people. First off, the way you are attracting people due to what you see of yourself, your self-image. That's how you attracting people. I remember, and for some reason, this popped up once I was watching Shayla Diva talk about how women are attracting well, she ain't say effeminate. I got effeminate from the book The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. One of the things she said was women are attracted, women that are in their masculine energy. Now, anything in this here universe has opposites. Okay, everything in this here universe is based upon opposites, law of opposites. Okay, polarity. Every man, every female, they both has feminine energy, masculine energy. Okay, each and every person have feminine energy, masculine energy. Now, if you are a female, you're supposed to be, of course, operating more so in your feminine energy. Now, and I used to think back in the day that feminine energy was just me getting dressed up and getting my hair did and putting makeup on. And that meant, to tell you the truth, I didn't even really know what feminine energy was, because nobody ever explained that to me when I was a kid. But I thought that I didn't even know that it was two things, polarity, feminine and masculine. I just thought that you just was, feminine. Well, I just thought that you was just a female. That was it. But then later on, what I started understanding was you are attracting people through whichever one that you have going on with yourself the most. So if you're a female, you should be operating more so in your feminine energy, listening to your intuition, nurturing, kindness, not feeling like you need to get everything done at once. And yesterday was a prime example where as though I felt like, you know what, I need to pull back, step back, and I need to just relax. Okay. At times I still felt myself doing something, but one of the things that I always share is with self-awareness is key. Feminine energy is also vulnerable, authenticity. Okay. And those are the things that when you are operating highly in your feminine energy. Now, if you are operating in your masculine energy, meaning you've been conditioned, you have to be the provider, the protector. The you and feminine energy is also they are willing to be led, but led by a man that is in his masculine energy. This is the thing. When you are when you are in relationships, right? A relationship is always reflecting back to you exactly who you are showing up as. Relationships are always reflecting back to you who you are showing up as. So I remember I was in this one relationship, and this guy, he will always he will always, I didn't understand it at first until today when I was watching Shade Love Diva. I was like, oh my goodness, she's so right. Because I remember I was in this relationship and it was this guy who, very nice guy, loving guy. Okay. I mean, very, very smart. When it came to like book smarts and stuff, very, very smart. But I remember it was this guy who I was dating, and he always would make the comparison between females and males. Like he had this thing. He had this thing where as though he always would make a comparison, right? Like here say females, like they always get away with stuff. And it's like basically he felt like society was more for females. He always made this comparison, basically like, oh, the fathers never have any rights and stuff like that. I never understood like where he got this from. And I just would listen to him. Like I like if it was Mother's Day or something like that, he had this dang with Mother's Day. Like it was always something. If it was something pertaining to my, and you know what that let me see now, because back then I wasn't observing, I wasn't paying attention, honey. I was just so geeked to be in a relationship. But what that showed me reflecting back was this, that there's many guys, many men who has not gotten over what their mother have done to them. There's many boys who have not gotten over what their mother have done to them. And what they tend to do, that's why they feel the way they feel towards women. That's why they feel the way they feel towards women. And let me tell you something. If you don't get over, even women, if you don't,
I don't feel good.
go lay down. If you don't get over, even women, what your father may have done, okay, you are going to attract your father in these men. You going to attract your father in these men. Even men, you know, if you feel like your mother did the worst to you and stuff like, you're going to attract your mama in these relationships. If you don't get over that hurt, that pain that you feel, okay, those people that you attract, they are going to reflect the wounds that you have going on within yourself. They are going to reflect the hurt, the pain. They are going to reflect those things in you. You won't even be receptive to a healthy relationship. Thanks, Natalie. You won't be receptive to a healthy relationship. The reason being is because you got this, you got this, and you may not notice it, but subconsciously you got this going on. Subconsciously you got this going on. I remember when I was a kid, and I love my mother. Okay, I love my mother. But I remember when I was a kid, and my mother, she would say I was lazy, right? She would say, "You are so lazy." And so me hearing it a lot, I felt like, oh my goodness, I gotta make sure everything is clean. I gotta make sure everything is done. I gotta make sure, you know, and I don't want to say it created OCD, but I felt like everything needed to be where it needed to be. And if it was at a place, right? Oh my goodness. Oh my, if it was at a place, oh my goodness. I remember when I first got my very first apartment, okay, I would mop and sweep every night. Sweeping, yeah, but I would mop and sweep every night. Every night I would mop and sweep. So much so that the towels that was in, so much so that the towels that was in in the kitchen of my first apartment, I had to pay to get new. It was like this laminate flooring. I had to pay linoleum flooring. I had to pay to get that put down on the floor. And I remember the guy who owned the house, he will always he knew how clean my apartment was. And one day he said, "Oh my goodness, the towels are coming up because you mop so much." I would mop and sweep every night. Every night I would do it. So much so, the guy who I was dating at that time, we was married. And I would go in the bed and he would be like, "Oh my goodness, your hands smell just like bleach. Like it smelled just like bleach." And he would get upset. But that all stemmed from upbringing. And I'm grateful for my mother because I mean for her installing cleanliness. But it comes a point in time where it's though, because if you feel like you gotta do all the time, remember if you want to attract a man that's in his masculine, you gotta be able to surrender. You gotta be able to let them lead. And the only way you would be able to do that is you listen to your intuition, okay? You be your authentic self. And feminine energy isn't do. Never rest. No, you need to take a break. So relationships are always good tools to see. Oh shoot. All right, family, my bad. My phone, my battery. Okay. So listen, if you are a female, right, and you've been always taught to be a go-getter, right? Everything is pretty much a go-getter. We often hear people like, even I used to say that I gotta go get the bag. If I don't do it, who's gonna do it? I need to do it because if I don't do it, it's not gonna get done right. All these different things, and all of that is pretty much like survival mode, right? You operating from survival mode. And what I start realizing on my journey, like, it's so funny how as sit back and you be receptive to information, right? You start analyzing the things that you do, right? And I always say not to judge yourself, not to beat yourself up, but to analyze and to look at the things that you tend to do. Because when you real with yourself, nobody can lie to you. Okay? You have to be honest with yourself and tell yourself exactly what it is that you tend to do. And if you're a person and you are out here blaming everyone for the things that has occurred in your life, right? You saying, oh, it's because of this, it's because of this person, oh, my ex was no good. If I ever was to go on a date with a guy and a guy was to say, if a guy is talking so badly about their exes, you want to be mindful of that. You want to be very mindful of that, because one, it shows that the person didn't even get over their ex. Two, it also shows that there may be some type of feelings for that ex. Okay, so you want to be mindful of that. The next thing is, and I said this several times before, if you are a person that feel like you can't feel those emotions, if you never got to feel those emotions when you was a child because you've been told, if you cry, I give you something to cry for, fix your face, or I'll fix it for you. You've been told all these things, and so now you don't even know how to process your emotions. And you don't listen. Not only do you not listen to what people are showing you, but you don't even listen to your intuition. And in order for your intuition to, be loud, or for you to hear it, you have to be willing to listen to it. So I wanted to do a video on this real quick, because sometimes we feel that, some people may feel like life is so unfair, life is so unjust. And it's not that life is unfair or unjust, it's that we get exactly what we put out. So everything that you get is just a reflection of what you're putting out. So, with that being said, I love you folks. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Keep rocking out, believe in yourself, keep going, keep growing. Until next time. Peace. Javon.